Hi, Jill.
Hey, Burgess.
Hi, Patrick.
All right, I was just making sure it was working.
Yeah. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Hello.
Hi, Dwayne.
Hey, Dwayne.
Hey.
Was that your home there, Burgess? Or
I'm in a witness protection program. I'm not at liberty to tell you where I am. I'm up in the mountains.
Oh, okay.
I've spent about 2 months up here in fact, I'll just give you a little view of what's going on. If you can see, there's there's kind of a view of the mountains. And the
Wow, that's
fog.
awesome.
And my partner is right here. All right, that's Teddy.
Hey, Teddy.
In fact, they just named a tropical storm after him, Tropical Storm Teddy.
That's a little scary.
Yeah,
Is it appropriate? Is he a hurricane or?
not now. He was when he was a puppy. He's like a typical 7-year-old dog now. He just sleeps all the time. You know how they
I,
are.
I see.
But no, it's worked out pretty well. They have Wi-Fi up here, and I have a printer, and I have lots of paper, and probably work just as well here as I do in Orlando.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's awesome.
How about you? Are you at home a lot now? No, it seems like you're at the office right now.
Yeah, we're in the office, but at least I don't have to travel so much.
I know. It's amazing how much of our lives are, I hate to say wasted, but consumed by the long travel times. I know Dwayne doesn't miss the drive to Palatka. But yeah. Well, I
Maybe
think
when COVID's over, there'll be some kind of a hybrid. You do.
so. Patrick, knock on wood here. We've got another couple of weeks, but I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised with how well your clients are going to end up this fiscal year.
I know, isn't it amazing?
Yeah, they're all going to be above 10. I think between 10 and 16% is what you're going to see this fiscal year.
That is so awesome.
We have one client that's 16% through June fiscal year to date.
Wow.
The Lynn Haven Police Pension System.
That's totally awesome, Burgess.
Yeah.
I can't believe it in the middle of a crisis.
Yeah, it is good. It's quite remarkable. And Cap Cities is doing a great job with this plan. So,
Good morning, everybody.
good morning.
Hey there.
Morning.
How are we doing?
All systems are go.
All right. Miss Jill, you there?
Let's see, where is she? Did she
Yes,
put
I'm
the?
here. We're getting our
there she is.
documents up on the screen right now.
Hi, Jill.
We
Hi,
can see him.
yeah.
Dwayne, how's the campus at Florida State? What, are they all back in school?
Yeah, I mean, the infection rate is going up. And then the local school system is, some kids are at home and some are in school. But yeah, it's crowded. And, I don't think they really obey the social distance. We stay away from campus.
I saw in Miami, there are demonstrators with signs saying, open up the bars. It's funny.
Oh.
Well, in Fort Myers, the bars just opened yesterday. %50 capacity.
Yeah. Well, I guess that means they can open up more bars. Just have more bars with fewer people.
Miss Jill, just let me know when you're set up and ready to go.
I will. Makes sense.
Yeah, Burgess, we only needed 8.3% this fiscal year to meet our 7.6% four-year average.
Well, I think Dwayne, I think as of yesterday, I think Dwayne's above 12.
It's okay.
In fact, he might be more closer to 14. I
Do you
don't
want to
know.
move them to your order? I'll let
Yeah.
you move them to your order.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome. Okay,
Okay.
I'll go stick the meeting in my ear in case you need me.
Okay, I think we're ready.
All right. We will call the meeting to order at 10:02. From the looks of it, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Miss Jill, I think we are short a quorum.
Yeah, we need a 3 for a quorum, and I just see yourself, Chad.
Mark just joined in.
Okay, so now we have a quorum.
We do have a quorum now, okay. Okay, so roll call is myself, Myers, Lenity, and Bramford.
I'm here.
Okay. Lenity, you're
You
muted.
hear me? I'm
Yeah, I
here.
hear you, sir. Okay. You got everybody else, Miss Jill?
Yes.
Okay.
Um,
So we did roll call. We're on the,
Minutes.
do I have a chance to review the minutes from the last meeting?
Yes, sir.
Any questions?
I make motion to accept the minutes.
Motion by Lenity to accept the minutes from the 6/16/2020 meeting.
Second.
Second by Bramford. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Next up on the agenda will be Mr. Dwayne from Capital City Trust.
Okay, good morning. Jill, are you going to put there we go. If you can scroll down a little bit, please. There we go. Stop right there. It's been a topsy-turvy year, and obviously the virus put the economy into a tailspin, but the Federal Reserve stepped in and promised to do whatever it takes to keep the economy rolling. There were a lot of very large companies, especially software and other tech companies that were not directly affected by the virus, like Microsoft and Amazon and Google, and they have done quite well. So technology has become almost 30% of the stock market and has been a large reason why June, July, and August were great months. So looking at the cash position, it says $484,000. However, a few days ago, I moved $280,000 to Sawgrass because we were bumping our head on the equity cap of 70%. So cash is actually underweight today a little bit by about 2%. Large companies like Apple and Amazon and Microsoft are overweight, and international is underweight. That should say underweight instead of overweight. And so large cap equities are overweight at the expense of being underweight international and small cap and mid cap and REIT, because in this type of environment, small cap, mid cap, and REIT struggle. Although they're improving, they are not as stable as bigger companies like Walmart and Target. And if you could scroll down a little bit, Jill, please. You see infrastructure is a little bit underweight. That's because I'm overweight in large cap, and then convertible bonds are underweight. I've been trimming convertible bonds to keep the plan under the equity cap because I would rather trim convertible bonds than trim companies like Apple and Amazon. So today, fixed income is probably closer to neutral rather than being underweight. And so that completes the policy review. Any questions on that? If not, scroll down a little bit, Jill, to account performance. There we go. So through June 30th, which is the second quarter, the plan was up 19.7 for the quarter, which is pretty good. That reflects the rebound from the stimulus from the Federal Reserve of $12 trillion, and in general, a more optimistic outlook, money coming back into the stock market because rates went down to zero. Money has no place else to go, so it seeks out riskier assets to get a return. Equities were up 21.4, beating the S&P 500 because mid cap and small cap started to come back. Taxable bonds like high yield and convertibles jumped because rates fell, and they were up 19.2, and real estate was up 13.4. And so the quarter was good. Year to date, we're still a little negative as of June, but that's improving quickly. You'll see where equities year to date are down 6, a little bit behind the S&P 500 because there's some small cap and international stocks in there. Real estate is coming back as people start to pay their rents again. Most of the real estate you own is not shopping centers and hotels. It's apartments and warehouses and public self-storage, healthcare, other things that are not devastated by the virus. So things are getting better. If you scroll down a little bit, Jill. Now we have July's returns. Keep going. This is through July. Year to date, we're positive, and equities are down year to date through July only 1.5%. In the last quarter, they're up 13.8. They're outperforming the S&P 500. Year to date are up 11, amazingly. Real estate's doing better. It's up 7.9 for the quarter. So July was a great month, and August was a better month. And then, of course, September, we had hit an air pocket, but we're coming back from that very quickly. If you scroll down a little bit, Jill, we can go on to the asset allocation. All right, stop right there, please. 57% in equity, other equity-like investments. So the pure investments, the pure stock investments are 57%. That's a moderate position. Fixed income, 33, 6% in cash. And I believe this does reflect the movement to the money to Sawgrass, and real estate's at 2.8%. Any questions on the asset allocation? If not, we can scroll down. The rest is the custodian's report. The bonds that you own, you see there from Sawgrass, are held here at Capital City. They're almost all investment grade bonds. It's a little bit of agencies and treasuries. And there's some mutual funds that we own. Vanguard REIT Index. That completes my comments. Any questions, Burgess? Anybody?
No, this is Burgess. Good morning, everyone. I just thought I'd comment that if everything holds here, it looks like Cap Cities is going to finish north of 12% here for the fiscal year.
Hey.
Which Patrick is, I know in the background here, he'll talk about what that means.
Thank you.
Yeah, basically, when you guys use that 4-year smoothing technique with the assets. And so we use the average of the last 4 years, and we want to beat 7.6%. And so if we get at least 8.3% this fiscal year, our 4-year average will be above 7.6. So we'll have an actuarial gain on the investment side. So unless we have a really terrible 15 days, then we should have an actuarial gain this year in the middle of this COVID crisis.
That sounds good. Any other questions?
I make motion to accept the Capital City report.
Motion made by Lenity to accept the Capital City report.
Second.
Second by Branford. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Miss Jill, did you see where Commissioner Campbell joined?
Yes, I did. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Just want to make sure he got added to it.
Mhm.
Next up will be the Burgess Chambers reports.
Okay, thank you. There it is. Thank you, Jill, for hosting this. If you could please go to page 1, which, there it is. I'm not sure if you all have read this. I'm not going to read it out loud because it's too long to read, but the takeaway here is echo some of Dwayne's comments, is that what happened in February to the last week in March was a serious decline of the stock market and a serious freezing up of the credit markets that was bailed out by the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve came in and liquefied the capital markets, credit markets, and actually became a buyer of not only U.S. government securities, but corporate securities. And this is the first time that they have entered into that zone. And that was the signal for the markets to begin to recover. We did a little bit of rebalancing with our clients, and that helped. It helped you here as well. And I think where we are right now is in spite of the economy appearing to be, not recovered because of the obvious, the stock market is telegraphing that the market's going to be very strong next year in terms of the economy. The economy is next year could grow as much as 7%. So we have a spring-loaded situation here that could really open up nicely next year. And obviously the advent of a vaccine is a key part of this, as well as improved protocols and treatments. By the way, I want to thank the firefighters. You guys are sticking your necks out here, saving us, saving people, the elderly and so forth. Let's go to the next page. In fact, let's go on to page, go to page 6. What's interesting about page 6 is the right hand of this slide visible, or is it blocked by? Can you see the right hand side of this slide? The 10 years.
No. Well, I can see up through 10 years.
Can everybody else see 10 years? Yes. Okay, good. 10 years ago, the plan was 6.1 million. And you can see that the average rate of return for the last 10 years, net of management fees, was 8%. So the goal for the last 10 years was to make 8%. I know we've cut the return assumption back, but this is enlightening to see that you've actually achieved the target over the last 10 years. And that was achieved due to, one, the right strategic model, the right asset allocations, cost containment. We'll thank Capital Cities, Dwayne Madron, for doing that, and Dwayne's steady hand on the asset allocation, tactically speaking. So through all these time periods, results have been favorable in relation to the model. You may look at the more recent returns and say, oh boy, what's happened to us? But really, it was the fourth quarter of 2018 and the first quarter of this year that muddied up the long-term averages. Let's see if I can find the summary page. There it is. Let's go to page 4. Sorry about that. So at the top, you can see the model centers around a 65% of the assets in equities, which includes convertible bonds. Those are treated as equities in this case, based on the state's guidelines. And if you look across the land and look at other defined benefit plans, you would find that many of them have a higher allocation to risk or higher allocation to equities. But in spite of this more conservative, or as Dwayne said, moderate allocation to risk, you've still been able to achieve not only the 8% bogey over the 10-year period, but your peer rankings are very impressive. Look at the first quarter, the first bullet. Plan earned just under $1 million, 14.2% net, and you ranked in the top 18th percentile, and that is really quite an achievement. This peer group is solely focused on pension plans in the governmental sector from Seattle to Key West. A very robust sample. You'll notice that the convertible bonds have really been a big winner here for you. I know I'll show you in a minute. Dwayne's running an underweight at this time, but they have done very well for you. They were the leader for the quarter and for the year. And you'll see a little bit later, they've been very significant outperformer for the last 5 years. The 1-year period, also high ranking, top 22nd percentile of the 3-year period, and so on. Let's go to page 7. I just want to highlight a couple things that Dwayne sort of touched on, but I want to highlight a couple things here. The overweight to domestic equity, 45 versus 32, was a significant factor in your outperformance. The underweight to international has helped you as well for the year. And certainly the modest underweight to the REITs has been beneficial to you. I'm going to wrap it up with one more slide and open it up. Jill, if you would please go to page 10. So the green, where it says domestic equity, those numbers across from left to right takes the results of the 3 subcategories right under it, Vanguard, Fidelity, and what takes the weighted returns of those 3 and gives you we call it the domestic equity return. And if you skip down and look at the convertible bonds, 18.6% per year, 11.9% per year for the last 3 years, and 10.8% per year for the last 5 years. And you can see for each of those periods, 1, 3, and 5, for the 1 and 3, especially significant outperformance. And I'm sure Dwayne is very pleased that had asset. We call it an asset class. We're somewhat in the minority here because a lot of our peers don't consider it an asset class. The Cohen & Steers Global Infrastructure is a fairly new addition to the program. It hasn't done quite as well as we had anticipated in the first quarter. It got bumped pretty good, and it didn't recover as much during the second quarter. But we do believe that it's a long-term, it should pay off for you. This category of Cohen & Steers Infrastructure participates in the 5G area with cell tower build-outs with American Tower. They also participate with American Water, which is acquiring a lot of municipal water systems where cities don't have the money to upgrade their water systems. They're selling to that company. They also own railroads and utilities. So the regulated nature of it and the high cost to entry for competition, we believe it's a good long-term contributor. Finally, on page 11, if you look at the REITs at the top, you go across the very right-hand side. In spite of the recent volatility among REITs, these are publicly traded real estate operating companies, commercial. The 10-year average has been 10% per year. So long-term, this has been a great contributor. And I guess I shouldn't leave out Sawgrass. They actually had a very good year. And fiscal year to date, the way they did that was going before COVID. They had an underweight to non-government securities, that is credits. And then after the big in credits, they repositioned themselves with a slight overweight to non-government bonds and agencies, and actually had a nice pickup in returns. So anyway, that's all I have. I think you're gonna be very happy with the fiscal year performance at 12% or better, assuming the next 2 weeks the market stays together. And I'll open it up. I see everybody's muted off, so I am a lip reader. Yes, sir.
I was just seeing if anybody had any questions.
Hey, Mark, any questions? Okay, buddy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
I make motion to accept report from Burgess.
Motion made by Lindsay to accept the Burgess report.
I'll second.
Seconded by, sounded like Branford. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Item number 5 is going to be Ms. Cassandra. Is she on, Ms. Jill?
She's here, but I do not, I'm trying to chat with her to see if, she said, okay. So she needs to unmute.
Yeah, he's on mute.
I'm telling her we cannot hear her. Okay. She
You might-
says she's on
You
the
might
telephone.
have to check out and then come back in. That might help.
There she is. She's not muted anymore. She's trying that. She said, okay, I'll be right back.
Okay.
Hello, this is Cassandra.
Yeah.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, it said I was muted. All right, so I just wanted to start off. There was a couple of memos that our office sent out since our last meeting. The first one is one discussing the cancer presumption statute that was passed July 1st, 2019. And in that, so that's a very new law. There hasn't been much litigation, or really there's only been one case that's been litigated on this issue. There's been a lot of discussion on it because the law as it's written is unclear as to whether firefighters who develop one of the 21 types of cancers that are enumerated in the law, if they develop it prior to the effective date of July 1, 2019, whether or not they qualify for the benefits provided under the statute. Those benefits include a one-time cash payment of $25,000 upon the firefighter's initial diagnosis, the initial cancer diagnosis, as well as having their cancer treatment covered from their employee-sponsored health plan. There was a case that was out of St. Petersburg recently. There was a fire lieutenant who contracted cancer, one of the qualifying cancers, in January of 2019. So it was before the statute took effect. That was a circuit court case out of St. Petersburg, and the judge in that case ruled that the firefighter was qualified to receive benefits under that statute. Because he said the law did not expressly state that you had to have the cancer after the effective date. So again, that's only one case that's been heard on the issue. It is a circuit court case, and circuit court cases do not create precedent. There would have to be the appeals court that would create precedent for other courts to follow. So it would be persuasive in other cases that have the same issue. And the issue specifically is whether the plaintiff was diagnosed with his thyroid cancer prior to the effective date of the statute. Does that preclude him from any recovery under the benefits afforded under the statute? And again, the judge ruled in favor of the fire lieutenant, and he said the court finds that the statute does not restrict benefits based on a diagnosis of cancer that occurred prior to the effective date. And just a reminder that this is not, it's not precedent. It will be persuasive, but it's not precedent. So the issue that's been coming up between attorneys is whether or not the law was retroactive in nature or as a perspective. And when we see, or when rules are decided, retroactive application or perspective, we look to see whether or not it's remedial or substantive legislation. And in this case, the judge ruled that it was remedial, that there was no additional benefits created. Rather, it was just an extension of the workers' comp benefits. It's an alternative, it's an alternative to the workers' comp benefits. Firefighters can choose to go and take workers' comp benefits, or they can choose this type of these benefits, the cash payout of $25,000 and the insurance payments. We also came up with a more streamlined process for if you ever have a disability claim related to cancer, and that is found on page 5 of the memo. Rather than going through the regular long drawn out process for disability claims where we have to request all the medical records, go through them, have a hearing, and all that, the board can streamline the process by taking the 5 steps. The first one would be to obtain a letter from the employer. So that would be the city advising that the applicant is or will be medically discharged from his or her position based on the cancer diagnosis. Obtaining a signed release of information form from the firefighter, so that the board can obtain any and all relevant records and confer with the other board members and staff on the application. The board can obtain the reports of the firefighters treating oncologists and other physicians and adopt those reports as their own rather than sending the firefighter to an independent medical examination, an independent medical evaluation. And then at that board meeting, to talk about the disability hearing, the board would present all of that information. So the letter from the city, the reports from the treating physicians, and any medical records. And I skipped this part. If you have one of the 21 forms of cancer listed in the statute, it is presumed that the firefighter contracted the disease in the line of duty. And that's I think it's an irrebuttable presumption. Let me just check. Yes, but this presumption is irrebuttable and cannot be disputed by contradictory evidence. So that helps with that disability process. And again, the fact that the court in St. Petersburg found that the law was remedial is a good sign, and it's a good indicator that hopefully the appeals courts will look to for guidance when they finally do get cases on this issue, because there definitely will be cases in the future. So that was a lot of information. Are there any questions on the law itself or the disability process or anything that was discussed? No? All right, yeah, it's just for informational purposes, let you know that there is movement on the law and these issues. So we will keep track of what's going on and let you know as new cases develop. The next item on the agenda was related to COVID. So as you know, COVID has been really the main focus of everything since March of this year. Public safety officers are essential workers, and they are contracting COVID at a greater rate now. So recognizing this, in August 2014, so just about a month ago now, there was a law passed called Safeguarding America's First Responders Act of 2020. This law provides, again, a presumptive line of duty, death, and disability benefit to qualifying police officers and firefighters for the purposes of death and disability benefits. There is a general presumption that the public safety officer who dies of COVID or related complications of COVID sustains a personal injury in the line of duty. So what this does is it provides federal death benefits for any firefighter who contracts COVID-19 and has COVID-19 at his or her time of death. The public safety officer had to have been engaged in a line of duty activity or action between January 1st, 2020 and December 31st, 2021. So those are the qualifying dates, January 1 of 2020 and December 31st, 2021. The second criteria is that the public safety officer had to have received a diagnosis of COVID-19, or there's evidence indicating he or she had COVID-19 during a 45-day period beginning on his or her last day of duty. Those two qualifications are for the disability benefits as well as death, but those two specifically for disability. And then to qualify for the death benefit, the firefighter would have to have died with COVID-19 and you like a death certificate certifying that that was the cause of death. We obviously hope that we never have to deal with something like this, but it is coming up more frequently. I have two plans that I am working on federal death benefits for because two police officers recently passed with it. Our office, it's the policy of our office, if we ever have clients who do pass away with line of duty death, that we assist the family members or the surviving spouse and surviving children in applying for these federal death benefits pro bono. So there's no cost or no fees We just do it in order to help out because we do know it's not an easy time and we want to help out in any way that we can. Are there any questions on that? No.
Yes, Andy?
Yes.
So does this apply then for the planned pension benefits then for disability and death, just like the cancer presumption?
No, this is just for federal benefits.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Good question. I did some research, and the term firefighter, I want to just double check. I know I sent out an email on it. I believe the term firefighter is more broad than just firefighter. I think it also includes like rescue, those who drive the rescue trucks, and there was other ones because I had another fire department ask if rescue crew were included, and I believe they are. So I will send that over to Jill for more clarification on that. So, all right. If there are no other questions on that, the last thing that I have is the extension of the executive order that allows our boards to meet virtually. That extension is good currently through September 30th. We do anticipate that it will be again extended. This is the 7th extension since March. So it is anticipated to be extended again, but we will of course keep everybody in the loop and post it as more information is provided to us. If anybody has any questions about anything, let me know now. If not, that's the end of my report.
I have one. It relates back to our previous meeting.
Sure.
Because I had some people ask me about it. It was about the IRS going from 70.5 to 72.
Yeah.
Then they had some questions on that. And I didn't have the true clarification to explain that to them.
Sure.
So in layman's terms, how can I explain that to the firefighters here that were questioning that? I told them that it's basically a IRS policy and that we have to go buy it, but they didn't understand what.
Yes. Okay. You're right. It is an IRS policy that we have to follow in order to maintain the tax qualification status of our plan. Previously, and I'm sorry, I'm not 100% sure. Are you allowed to leave your drop money in the plan after retirement? Or do you have to take it out?
I'm pretty sure we can leave it in. Is that correct, Ms. Jill?
There have been instances where it is left in, but I believe the board has had to vote on that being that way. Everyone I have seen, it's totally withdrawn. I don't believe it's in the ordinance.
All right, well, so what the IRS ordinance does is if you do allow, or if you do have members who leave their money in the plan, that once they turn 72, they have to start taking it. They cannot leave it in there. And that's provided now. Let's say you had a retiree who had the money in the plan and he or she turned 70 and a half. I think it was December 31st, 2019. If they had already turned 70 and a half prior to the law taking effect, well, then they have to take it out at 70 and a half. But if they hadn't already obtained 70 and a half, then they can wait until 72.
Okay.
So it's for some plans, it's more of just a cleanup. Some plans, the drop money's taken out right away and it doesn't make a difference. So we're just matching the plan document to what the law is currently. Some plans do allow people to leave their money in the plan, and this just says, hey, now you got to take it out at 72. You can't leave it any longer.
Yes, ma'am. We talked about that in June, and I couldn't remember it, and it just came up on a commission meeting a month or so ago, and they asked me about it, and I told them I'd get the real answer for them. So.
Well,
Yeah, perfect.
I'm looking at our summary I'm not looking at the ordinance, but it looks like if they wanted to keep it in, they have to take it out in installments. And if it's somewhat equal installments, then this change won't have any effect. Because you can take it out in installments after 72, right, Cassandra? You just have
Right,
to take a certain amount out each year.
correct.
So I don't think this law will affect anybody in your plan at all.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just like a cleanup then, just so our plan document matches the IRS code.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for that.
You're very welcome. I
Yes,
hope
ma'am.
everybody stays safe. And, you know, if you ever have any questions, just get with Jill. Jill, get with me or email me, whatever you need, okay?
Okay. Chad,
All
Joe.
right, everybody. Thank you.
No other questions?
Hey, this is Chad. That directly relates to the drop monies, correct?
Yes, Chad, that's correct.
Thank you.
You're welcome. No other questions heard?
Make motion to accept the report.
Motion made by Lindsay. I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passed. Next up will be Foster and Foster.
Okay, well, about a year ago or so, we developed some new software where members can log in. Every member gets their own login, and then they can log into our website, and then they can run calculations both for retirement or for drop. And they can put in any date they want. And the program will tell them, well, you know, you're not eligible for retirement at that date, or if you are eligible, then you can put in your joint and survivor beneficiaries so that you can see how that would affect your benefits. It's a really nice program. It's not inexpensive for a small plan like yours, but I just wanted to present it and see if the board had any interest. We could do a demonstration if the board had interest in it.
Is this just for the employees to go in and look at, or is there anything the city side that helps them on their stuff?
Well, we have it's called a work track piece to it. And so then somebody could actually directly apply for benefits on the portal. And then it would keep track of the steps, like the city giving us the information so we can do the calculation and where we are on the calculation. And so that would help Jill and the city. And then a lot of firefighters will probably come and ask the city, well, I'm thinking about retiring next year. What will that do? It would eliminate those kind of questions for the city. So it would help the administration from the city perspective. And then eventually maybe we wouldn't have to ask the city for the data every year like we do now at the end of each fiscal year. We have to get everybody's information. But if we set up the portal like this on a bi-weekly basis, then we'll be getting that data all year long, and then they wouldn't have to do it at the end of the year. So there are some helps or savings for the city, but primarily it would benefit the members of the plan.
Ms. Jill, you have any input on any of that?
I think it's a really nice tool for the members, but it is at significant cost. And the cost to, at the end of the year, as Patrick says, I do have to assemble all the data and get it into one form as far as how much each employee has contributed, what their wages are, what the city's contributed, how many years they've worked, all that kind of information. And then Foster and Foster takes that information and makes the valuation report. And I had asked Patrick if that would reduce the cost of the valuation report, because that's like a $10,000 report. And he had said, no, it's still going to cost the same amount for the valuation report. So it's a nice tool. I think it's a better tool for people, for plans that have more members. It'd be a bigger savings. It's the first year would be $6,000 for option 1 and $7,500 for option 2. And the second year that would go down to $3,500 and $5,000, but that's per plan. It's a fairly significant amount of money for our plan.
Well, I looked at it too, and it depends on how many estimates members are doing. So we charge $200 when we do an estimated benefit calculation. And so the option 1 or option 2, the annual fee is about $150 per person per year, or $217 per person per year, because you have 23 active firefighters as of 10/1/19. So, I mean, if each of those members asked for an estimate each year, then it would be the same cost as having the portal as having, them doing it on their own. But that's not how many, you guys usually don't have that many estimates for people until they're getting real close to retirement.
And generally, sorry, Patrick, this is Chad. Quick question. Generally, they pay out of their pocket to cover that,
Yes.
that estimate?
Yes, they do, $200.
Yeah, I think it's worth it for those guys that are getting close to just handle that business on their own, my personal opinion.
I'd have to agree with you, Chad. We don't have anybody really that close to retirement that we know of. I mean, it could change it any day, but half the time when the green sheets get turned in annually, we'll have 1 or 2 people ask us a question about it, but for the most part, most of it doesn't. I don't think it would be, my opinion on the deals, I don't think it'd be worth the money. I don't think anybody would really use it as of right now.
There's 11 vested members, if I counted correctly, and only 1 can retire within the next year.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's fine. I just wanted to present it to you and let you know it's an option.
Thanks, sir. Any other questions?
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Oh, no problem.
None heard. Let's see. Do we need to vote on that, Ms. Jill?
I don't believe so. I think that was just
Information.
yes.
Okay. Thank you, Patrick. Next up on the list will be the email about board member Mr. Leary. I'll go ahead and start on that. He was driving back, couldn't be at the meeting again today. He apologized and said that if we wanted him to resign, that he understands. My feeling on that is that Mr. Leary is really good with a lot of investment questions that I don't normally think of. I don't have a problem with it's because he missed meetings unless he wants off the board. I would say I'm not worried about it, but I mean, there's other board members that get to make decisions on that too. So y'all can weigh in on that.
Hey, this is Chad. From my perspective, life happens. People get busy. I agree with you, Brent, that unless he just wants to get off the board, I think more than accommodate him for a meeting or two.
Okay, Mark?
Yeah, I agree with Chad. I'd like to see him stay on the board because he is an asset to our board. And
I agree 100%.
I kind of put it back to Art about, his interest in staying, and let him know that we support him and are willing to, if he misses a few meetings, that's, everybody has stuff to do. But I'd like to see him stay on for now. And if it turned into a bunch of meetings, then we'd have to make a decision. But I'd like to maintain him right now.
I agree with you on that. I don't know if Mr. Campbell has any input on that or not. None being heard. I guess, Ms. Jewell, if you want to reach out to him,
Yes.
like I said, I mean, you heard what we said. I think he's a great asset. We understand that life happens. And it's totally up to him.
Okay, I'll let him know.
Thank you. Expenditures, number 8 on the agenda. Will be, everybody get a chance to do the expenditures. Ms. Jewell's gonna get it up on the screen for us. Any questions on expenditures?
No, sir, not for me.
Me either.
Okay, that will take a motion.
Yeah, it takes a motion to approve.
I second.
Yes, sir, I'll make a motion.
Okay, motion by Bramford to approve, second by Lindsay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion pass. Ms. Jewell, do we have any public comments?
Let me go check. Hold on one moment.
Yes, ma'am.
There were no public comments.
All right, and the last item, any other business? None being heard. I'll make a motion to bring the meeting to a close at 10:55.
Hi, guys. Thanks for your service.
I'll second.
Thank you,
Appreciate
sir.
you guys.
Thank you, Mr. Patrick. Thank you, Mr. Dwayne. Thank you, Mr. Burgess.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey,
Sandra.
Mark, hey, Mark, let's go
Absolutely.
fishing sometime. Give me a call.
Anytime.
Call me.
All righty, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
All right, guys, have a good day. Thank you.